Most people think lockdowns are meant to keep danger out. Lock the doors, turn off the lights, stay silent, wait for help. Simple. But sometimes, the truly terrifying part isn't knowing what's outside. It's hearing it get closer. Tonight, you're about to hear 3 true lockdown horror stories where ordinary places turned into nightmares within minutes. A classroom where students heard someone whispering their names from the hallway. A nearly empty mall where employees watched a masked figure searching store by store during lockdown. And a hospital at night, where staff were warned not to open the doors for anyone, even when they heard screaming for help outside. In every story, people thought the locks would protect them, until they realized something was already inside. So turn the lights down, stay quiet, and remember, during a lockdown, silence can be the most terrifying sound of all. The lockdown started at exactly 2:17 p.m. At Westfield High School, the final class period had just begun. Students were half asleep, waiting for the bell, while rain hammered against the classroom windows outside. Then the intercom suddenly crackled. Attention! This is an emergency lockdown. Teachers, secure your classrooms immediately. The voice sounded rushed, panicked. Every student froze. Their teacher, Mrs. Hargrove, immediately stood up and locked the classroom door before switching off the lights. Phones silent. Everyone moved to the back corner. Now. Desks scraped across the floor as 23 students crowded into the dark corner beside the storage cabinets. Outside, the hallway alarms began echoing through the school. Nobody spoke. At first, students assumed it was probably another false alarm. Until they heard screaming somewhere downstairs. Very distant, but real. Several students started crying immediately. Mrs. Hargrove tried calming them while checking updates on her phone, but the school's emergency app only displayed one message. Remain hidden. Police are responding. Then footsteps appeared in the hallway outside. Slow, heavy. Moving classroom to classroom. Every sound echoed in the silence. The footsteps would stop outside one door, then continue farther down the hall. Nobody breathed. One student quietly whispered, "What if it's the shooter, Mrs.?" Hargrove raised a finger instantly for silence. Then the footsteps stopped directly outside their classroom. The entire room froze. A shadow appeared beneath the doorway. Someone was standing there. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then came knocking, 3 slow knocks. Everyone stared at the door in silence, and then a voice spoke softly from the hallway. Mrs. Hargrove, open the door. Several students immediately recognized the voice. It sounded exactly like Principal Howard, the school principal. Relief spread through part of the room instantly. But Mrs. Hargrove didn't move, because sitting beside her in the dark corner was Principal Howard, covered in sweat, breathing heavily. He had entered the classroom moments before the lockdown started through the connected office door. Nobody noticed earlier, and now he looked absolutely terrified. The knocking came again, louder this time. Open the door. It's safe now. Students began panicking quietly. Some stared at the principal beside them. Others stared at the door. The voice outside sounded perfect, exactly like him. Principal Howard slowly shook his head. No one opens that door. His voice trembled badly. Then the thing outside laughed, not loudly, just a soft chuckle. But it sounded wrong somehow, like multiple voices speaking together. Several students covered their mouths to stop themselves from crying. The shadow under the doorway shifted slowly. Then the door handle moved, very slowly turning downward. The classroom lock rattled violently once, twice, then stopped. The voice outside whispered again, this time much softer. I know you're in there. A girl near the back started sobbing uncontrollably. Mrs. Hargrove held her tightly while everyone stared at the doorway in horror. Then came another sound. More footsteps entering the hallway. Fast. Multiple people running. Police officers shouting commands. The thing outside the classroom immediately went silent. Then the shadow disappeared from beneath the door. Officers eventually unlocked the room nearly 20 minutes later. Students rushed out crying while police secured the floor. But according to official reports, nobody was found in the hallway outside room 214. Security footage showed empty corridors the entire time. No person, no movement, nothing standing outside the classroom door. But several students later reported the same terrifying detail. Even after police arrived, they could still hear faint whispering farther down the hallway, calling their names. Puntenant. Emma Reed hated closing shifts at the mall, especially on Sundays. By 9 p.m., most of the stores were empty, security gates were coming down, and the entire building felt strangely abandoned. That night, Emma was working with 3 other employees inside a small clothing store near the center court of Brookdale Mall. Music played softly through the speakers while they folded shirts and counted registers. Completely normal. Until every light in the mall suddenly flashed red. An alarm echoed through the building. Then the emergency announcement began repeating overhead. Attention shoppers and employees. The mall is now under emergency lockdown. Please secure your locations immediately. Everyone froze. At first they thought it was a drill. Then screaming erupted somewhere outside the store. Loud, panicked, followed by people running. The employees rushed toward the front entrance and pulled down the heavy metal security gate, just as terrified shoppers sprinted past outside. Emma's co-worker Tyler locked it immediately. What's happening? Nobody knew. The mall's overhead music shut off completely, leaving only alarms echoing through the massive empty corridors. A text alert finally appeared on Emma's phone. Possible armed suspect inside building. Remain hidden. The atmosphere changed instantly. The employees turned off their store lights and hid inside the stockroom in the back. Tiny, windowless, completely dark. The only light came from a security monitor connected to cameras outside the store. At first, the hallway looked empty. Then someone appeared on screen. A tall figure wearing dark clothes and a hood, walking slowly through the mall corridor. The person carried something long in one hand. Tyler whispered, "Is that a gun?" Nobody answered. The figure stopped outside neighboring stores one by one, looking inside, motionless for several seconds each time, then continuing forward. Emma could hear her own heartbeat. The security camera had no audio, but somehow the silence made everything worse. The figure finally approached their store and stopped directly outside the gate. Everyone in the stockroom held their breath. The hooded person stood completely still, facing the dark store interior, almost like they knew someone was hiding there. Then Emma's phone vibrated. The sudden sound nearly made everyone scream. Unknown number. She ignored it immediately. But seconds later, another call came, then another, and another. Tyler whispered angrily. "Turn it off," Emma answered just to stop the vibration. At first, she heard only static. Then breathing, slow, calm, and a voice whispered, "I can see you." Emma nearly dropped the phone. The security monitor still showed the hooded figure standing outside the store gate, not moving. Then the caller whispered something worse. "You're not hidden." The call disconnected instantly. Panic exploded inside the stockroom. One employee started crying, while Tyler grabbed a clothing rack pole like a weapon. Emma checked the security monitor again. The figure was gone. Nobody saw where it went. Then came a loud metallic bang somewhere in the mall, followed by another and another, like security gates being hit one by one, closer each time. Bang closer, bang closer. The employees backed deeper into the storage room while the sounds approached their store. Then silence. Complete silence. For nearly 2 minutes, nobody moved. Then the security monitor flickered once, and the hooded figure suddenly appeared directly in front of the camera. Too close, the face hidden completely in darkness. The figure slowly tilted its head toward the lens. Then the monitor cut to static. At the exact same moment, something slammed violently against the store's security gate outside. Everyone screamed. The gate rattled hard enough to shake the walls. Then another slam came, and another. The employees were certain someone was trying to break inside, but suddenly, everything stopped. No movement, no alarms, no footsteps. Just silence again. Police finally reached the store nearly 40 minutes later. When they opened the security gate, the mall corridor outside was completely empty. No suspect, no weapon, nothing. But officers discovered something disturbing. Every store gate near Emma's location had deep dents and scratches across the metal, including theirs, like someone had been dragging something sharp across them in the dark. Patrontal. St. Mercy Hospital entered lockdown at 1:32 a.m. Most patients were asleep, the hallways were nearly empty, and Nurse Danielle Cross had just started the quietest part of her overnight shift. Then every security door on the 4th floor slammed shut automatically. The sound echoed through the entire wing. A second later, the overhead intercom crackled alive. "Attention staff, immediate lockdown in effect. Do not leave your assigned areas." Danielle stopped walking instantly. The lights above her flickered once, then again. At first, she assumed it was another violent patient situation. Hospitals occasionally locked down entire floors when someone became dangerous or escaped psychiatric observation. But then the second announcement came, this time distorted, almost broken. "Do not open any doors." Static swallowed the rest. Danielle exchanged nervous looks with another nurse near the station. What's going on? Nobody knew. Computers throughout the hallway suddenly lost connection to the hospital system. Security cameras on several monitors turned black one by one. Then a message appeared across every screen. "Patient missing. No name, no room number, nothing else." The atmosphere changed immediately. Danielle tried calling hospital security, but only static answered. Then the emergency lights activated. The hallway turned dark red. That was when the banging started. 3 loud impacts echoed from the isolation wing down the corridor. Bang, bang, bang. Every nurse froze. The isolation wing was supposed to be empty during renovations. Danielle slowly approached the security window leading into the hallway. Darkness covered most of it. Then another bang shook the door violently. A voice screamed from the other side. "Please let me in." It sounded like a man. Desperate, terrified, Danielle instinctively reached for the lock. But another nurse grabbed her arm immediately. "Don't!" The voice outside continued screaming. "They're coming! Open the door!" Then suddenly, silence. Danielle looked through the small glass window again. The hallway outside was empty. No person, no movement. At the exact same moment, one of the security monitors nearby flickered back online, displaying the same hallway outside the isolation wing. Completely empty. Yet seconds later, another loud bang hit the door. The nurses physically jumped backward. The camera still showed nobody there, but the impacts continued. Bang, bang, like invisible fists pounding against metal. Then the elevator at the far end of the corridor dinged softly. Everyone turned toward it. The doors slowly opened. Inside sat a wheelchair, empty, old. Its wheels covered in something dark, blood. The wheelchair slowly rolled forward by itself into the hallway. Nobody touched it. Several nurses immediately ran. Danielle stayed frozen near the station, unable to move. Then the intercom activated again. Static crackled loudly before a distorted voice whispered, "Don't let it see you." The lights shut off completely. Darkness swallowed the hallway. People screamed nearby. Equipment alarms began ringing throughout the floor. For several terrifying seconds, Danielle could hear footsteps moving quickly somewhere in the darkness. Not one pair, multiple. Then the backup generator activated. The lights returned, and the hallway was empty again. The wheelchair was gone. One nurse was missing. Security officers finally reached the floor nearly 20 minutes later after manually overriding the lockdown system. But things only became stranger afterward. No patient records were missing. No psychiatric escape had occurred. No unauthorized person was found anywhere inside the hospital. And according to security footage, the isolation hallway had remained completely empty the entire night. No man banging on the door, no wheelchair leaving the elevator, nothing. But before dawn, security made one final disturbing discovery. At exactly 1:32 a.m., the moment the lockdown began, every camera on the 4th floor captured the same image for a single frame. A pale figure standing motionless at the end of the hallway, watching the nurses, then disappearing. Pentenetlant. Lockdowns are supposed to protect people. Lock the doors, stay quiet, wait for help. But in every story tonight, the fear didn't come from knowing what was happening. It came from not knowing who was outside the classroom door, not knowing who was wandering through the dark mall corridors, and not knowing what was moving through the hospital after midnight. Maybe there's a logical explanation for all of it. Maybe stress and panic made people imagine things. Or maybe, sometimes during a lockdown, people aren't hiding from ordinary danger. They're hiding from something far worse. So the next time you hear a lock click shut behind you, pay attention to the sounds outside the door, because the most terrifying part of any lockdown is realizing the thing trying to get in might already know your name. If you enjoyed tonight's stories, let me know which one disturbed you the most. And remember, Some doors are locked for a reason.